A big boss must have a vision. We got a town with thousands of small stores and businesses. People who are working real hard. I think they should be working real hard for us. Because we are for the people. And if you ain't for the people, you can't buy the people. Lincoln. We will become the people's silent partner. Every time some citizen buys a pound of hamburger, we get a nickel. Every time some guy gets a haircut, we get a dime. We'll dress like bankers. Join the Rotary Club. Together, we will own this town.
Surrounded by movie podcasts, three men will risk it all to try to stand out from the herd. It's the Cinema 9 podcast with your host, Michael Govier, Eric Brandstrom, and Travis Roy. Coming to a speaker near you right now.
Hello, everybody. It's time for another episode of Cinema 9 Podcast. We are standing by at your pleasure. My name is Michael Govier, along with my other co-hosts, Travis Roy and Eric Albert Brandstrom. Travis, how's it going today?
Hey, everybody. How you doing? I'm doing good.
Always very tempered, very mild-mannered you are.
I'm a pretty placid guy, I think.
Well, you, Eric, you excited for today's show?
I'm over-caffeinated and unemployed.
Oh, shit. Did you get late? Are you not working now? Or is that?
No, I'm student teaching, so I haven't been working.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Not paying attention to your life. My fault. Well, this is the Cinema 9 Podcast. Painful memories may come up in this show. Hopefully they don't, unless you hate Dick Tracy. Today's focus is Dick Tracy. That'll be the main event. That'll be the key ingredient of today's show. We're going back to 1990, folks, when bright colors were used and may or may have not have set up the failure of the Batman franchise when Joel Schumacher took over in 1995. I'm not saying that's Dick Tracy's fault, but it's a little preview. So we're going to run through that. We're going to have an emails at the end of the show, of course. We'll talk about our quarantine picks, what's been going on there. And we're going to open it up with Mark Ruffalo talk, which sounds goofy, but trust me, it's going to be fun. But first, as always, we like to check in. And before we do, it is the Cinema 9 Pod, Cinema 9 Pod at protonmail.com. That's the numerical 9, Cinema 9 Pod, Twitter, and Facebook. Check us out. Connect with us. Send us a message. Tell us about your favorite movies. Tell us why you hate the choices we make of movies we analyze. But first, Travis, how you doing, bud? What's cooking over there?
Oh, it's a lot of the same over here. I take care of I'm teaching a class online, so I kind of do that in the mornings and then settle into watching movies. So there's been quite a bit of movie watching, quite a bit. I made a list this time and I wanted to see how many movies I could jam in between podcast sessions, and I hit 31, which I feel like is pretty good for a week.
Damn.
Most impressive.
Movies. Yeah, I'm gonna post them on our Facebook or whatever. Why not? I wrote them down. Might as well do something with them.
Share with the people. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You're really going deep, man. I mean, you've already seen a lot of movies in your life. Isn't it amazing that it'll never end? You'll never see all the movies in the world.
I'm doing a good mix of like either things that I haven't seen in a long time or things that I haven't seen at all. I'm trying to avoid stuff that are my regular go-tos.
The Mordecai Comfort Watch?
Yeah, exactly. I did Mordecai right before the collapse of civilization, fortunately. So I've got that going on for me.
Eric, you been watching more Columbo, or have things changed?
I finished up the entire series, which I own on DVD. So I've moved on to movies. So
Wait, how many seasons are there?
6.5, 7.
Oh,
Then they switched networks and came back with really shitty TV movies on CBS. They're awful. Character falls into characterization and pastiche. They destroy the character. It's like quintessential character assassination. He doesn't act anything like the cool film noir detective that you love in the 70s. Just a bumbling fucking dumb idiot. But I've moved on to regular movies. I'm in a disaster picture phase from the 70s. So I took out The Towering Inferno, which is really good. Poseidon Adventure, The Swarm, which is about an onslaught of African killer bees. Yeah, so been fun.
wow.
Are we doing a
sorry to hear that
roundup
about
now?
Columbo. No, we're just this is just what we've been up to. Relax, everything's fine. It'll be
What we've
okay.
been up to is exactly just movies. The same thing as the round.
Well, yeah, I get. You're free to go in any direction you want, gentlemen. You choose. It's like you choose your own adventure. That's what the show's like.
No, it's a world.
Well, Eric, I'm sorry that Columbo went off the rails. I asked the question about the number of seasons because I really didn't know, because I've only known it through syndication, because it was done during a period before, like the show was done in seasons in the 70s, right?
Technically, they were like they used to have like the Sunday night mystery movie of the week, and they had like several of those in a year. So they just called them seasons from 1968 to 76 when the series ended. In that
68.
format.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
2 pilot
Yeah.
episodes and then the regular series. So yeah. But now we're on disaster pictures from mega maniacal producer Irwin Winkler. I'm excited about like The Towering Inferno is actually really good with Paul Newman. And like he trashed it like for the entirety of his career. He said, "Stupid turkey piece of shit. I got $1 million, 10% of the gross, but the movie sucks. I'll never do one of those again." Then 5 years later, he teamed back up with Irwin Winkler for When Time Ran Out, about a volcano terrorizes the city.
Is this Irwin Winkler of Empire Strikes Back?
No, that's Irvin Kershner.
Oh,
This guy's strictly
geez.
disaster pictures.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought I was wrong.
Really know your Irvings.
Know your Irwin/Irvings.
Right. That too. I have names.
So the quarantine is tough, you know. I just know that I'm doing the best I can here, and I hope you guys are doing the best you can in your respective zones. And we wish you all the best out there. Hang tough. We're here to talk about film, actors, anything to do with movies, TV. Even we're pretty open-minded. It's entertainment. We might even do like Tony Awards and Broadway. Who knows? Who knows where we'll
Not
go?
likely.
Oh, maybe we
I couldn't
won't
name
go that
one
far.
Tony Award winner.
Didn't Kramer win a Tony?
I have no idea. I don't follow that world.
I watched that episode last night where Kramer goes up on stage when he's filling the seats and he accidentally gets the Tony, and then Raquel Welch beats his ass. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Raquel Welch, what a beautiful woman. Good Lord. Is she still alive? Anybody know?
Yeah, she's around.
That's amazing. She's
Rochelle,
got to be
Rochelle.
80-something. Rochelle. From Milan to Minsk.
Milan
A
to
girl's
Minsk.
erotic journey. Well, that's I'm still watching that damn Seinfeld. But beyond that, I'm just trying to hang tough and do the best I can. And recording podcasts gives me joy. Connecting with my dear friends Travis and Eric, what a pleasure. We are here to have fun. And we're going to find out today if Dick Tracy holds up. But I got to tell you, there's something that's been stewing between Eric and Travis mainly. And the question is, Mark Ruffalo, does he hold up? Is he a valid actor? Is he a good actor? Because he's done a lot to validate a career, there's no doubt. But the question is, Travis, is Mark Ruffalo maybe a great actor, someone who is deserving of award praise in the right role?
Is he a valid actor? I like that question. Like, does he exist?
That was a poor choice of words. But, yeah.
No, I'm just playing. So, all right. So, like, well, let me ask you this, Eric. You are not a fan of Ruffalo, right?
I'm a fan. I'm a
You are
fan.
a fan.
I just decided one time, like, what's the deal with Mark Ruffalo? Is this guy good or what?
because I found myself, as we've been kind of talking about this in the past week, kind of preparing to defend the career of Mark Ruffalo. But if you have no, if you
I'm
have
not
no
going to come at
qualm,
you with any attacks on his. Well, there's a couple of missteps from the early 2000s I'll get into.
well, that's true
I'm a fan
for
overall.
most actors. All right, so the question, because the question you posed was, is Mark Ruffalo even a good actor?
Yeah.
And then the answer is from both of us, yes. Is that the end of the segment?
Yeah, I don't know how much entertaining conflict we'll have, but I thought we'd chat a little bit about this guy.
All right, well, what do you have in mind?
Favorite Mark Ruffalo performance?
Top Mark Ruffalo performances of all time, non-Marvel.
Non-Marvel, of course.
Not Marvel.
I mean, Marvel's its own separate celestial perfect thing.
Cash
but-
machine.
So favorite Ruffalo role, barring the Marvel cinema.
Shutter Island?
No, I don't. So I've been watching some Ruffalo movies of late. I kind of peppered them in hither and thither over the past week. And this morning I watched one that, that I felt like was probably the strongest I've seen of his career, but I might have like recent bias because I just watched it. But I watched Infinitely Polar Bear this morning.
Oh,
And that was just a delight. It was a nice little film, and I thought it was a really good showcase for his talents because I watched some other movies recently too. I watched Dark Waters, and I watched The Kids Are All Right, which I thought was really good. I think that like the thing is with him is that if there is questions from people perhaps other than Eric about his acting abilities, I think that he's really I think he's low key. He has a light touch. He doesn't overact, which I think that sometimes it's easy for us in a world of Pacinos and Nicholsons and stuff to sometimes look for that kind of stuff. And maybe not, but like Ruffalo is a very measured actor, and I liked Infinitely Polar Bear in particular because since he's playing a bipolar character, it would have been a good opportunity for him to just go off the rails and just, but instead, like it's a very believable performance because he's like, he's just like a normal guy who's dealing with this thing.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Infinitely Polar Bear is about a father struggling with bipolar disorder, and he tries to win back his wife by attempting to take full responsibility of their two young, spirited daughters, written and directed by Maya Forbes, also known for Monsters vs. Aliens, and a writer on the American Crime Story TV series,
So that's
just to let people know.
That's the IMDb summary, which is inaccurate. that's not exactly the plot of the film.
How dare you? How dare
Pretty
you
close.
challenge IMDb's
How
authority?
dare you? How dare
It gets a 7.0 out of 10 stars. That's a solid rating.
That's about what I would give it. Maybe 6 or 7. It was good.
wow.
Eric,
So
do you have a
that's my
response to
thoughts.
these comments? I mean, Travis, by the way, you also said you watched The Kids Are All Right the other day, which was with Annette Bening and Julianne Moore. And he was also, I've seen that movie. It's very good. I enjoy his performance. I love his he's dedicated. He's trying to like be more than he thinks he can be, but he ends up being who he is in the end. I really enjoy it, the honest performance he gives in that. It's really well done.
Yeah, I think that's he's an honest actor. It's not always a lot of bells and whistles, but he gives honest performances.
I can respect his humble beginnings. I think he's from Wisconsin, but I do know he studied with Stella Adler, who is like the premier acting teacher of the 20th century, training Marlon Brando and Montgomery Clift and Marty Landau. So,
A legend.
Yeah,
Marty.
I think he was classmates with Benicio del Toro, but I mean, it doesn't get much better than that when it comes to theater. And you're right, he does play it low key. Do you guys remember when you first starting to notice him? I think the first thing I saw him was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I kind of forgot he was in. He was playing these little small supporting role, Collateral, Eternal Sunshine, and I remember being like, who the hell is this guy? But Mark Buffalo? What the hell is going on?
Well,
my friend Brad.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you go ahead, Mike.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, my friend Brad, I went to film school with him, and around that time, while we were in school together, You Can Count on Me came out, and my friend
This is
Brad.
like 2001.
Yeah, 2001. And my friend was really impressed by it. He's like, oh, check out this performance. I think this guy's really going to go somewhere. So I watched that movie, and I thought it was pretty good. And I thought it really kind of like, he's really done similar things since, like Infinitely Polar Bear and The Kids Are All Right have like those movies. Like, I don't know, like, there's some common themes in those characters. But yeah,
You Can Count on Me, written and directed by the always kind of down in the dumps Kenneth Lonergan.
Oh boy,
that's but it gets a 7.5, very strong rating. And if it's Kenneth Lonergan, I'm usually in. I'm sure that's a great match. I've never seen that film, and I'd kind of like to see that. If you missed it, it came out in 2000, and Travis with a nice recommendation. You would still recommend it to this day?
I would recommend Infinitely Polar Bear, or what's the other one I just said?
You Can Count on Me?
Yeah, The Kids Are All Right. I'd recommend those before You Can Count on Me.
Okay, so the first time I recognized Mark Ruffalo, it was probably in a movie I've watched more than once because I want it to be better than it is. The Last Castle with Robert Redford and James Gandolfini.
Yeah.
The prison showdown movie where Robert Redford's the disgraced general in prison, but he's got so much respect because he did the right thing, whatever the hell it was. And Mark Ruffalo's like his tech nerd buddy who's just trying to help him survive. That was the first time I saw Mark Ruffalo, as far as I could tell. I thought my original point was In the Cut, which I saw the year it came out, with Meg, most famous for Meg Ryan doing full bush and all that, full frontal nudity, and it ruins everything we used to love about Meg Ryan. But my favorite performance from Ruffalo is probably in Zodiac. I think he nails Dave Toschi.
David Toschi.
So good in that. I'd watched Zodiac a million times. It's a great movie, and he's a real key part of that. He's so exhausting in that movie. He's really different in that film because he's doing the high-strung kind of style of Dave Toschi, and it's done really well. So that was impressive.
Yeah, my favorite performance is in Foxcatcher, which I don't think gets enough credit. I always talk about Foxcatcher. I think more than a lot of other roles for him, this was the most kind of quietly intense and physically interesting role he's done. So another really good one is a film that no one saw called Reservation Road, where he plays a hit and run driver who's kind of living in turmoil after doing this horrible thing. So yeah, back in the day, he would slip under the radar with these really quiet, kind of reserved, nuanced performances. But that's kind of one of the reasons I don't want to get into the whole Marvel thing, but I'm missing a lot of stuff from good old Ruffalo. And I'm excited for this new HBO show where he's going to play dual roles. He's going to play identical twins. So see what happens there.
How about that? He was great in The Normal Heart, which I saw. So that was something he did in the Marvel era, which was right during the same year as Foxcatcher, which I loved Foxcatcher when I saw it, but I'm glad that you liked it. Most people I talked to at the time said it should have just been a documentary. They didn't need to make a drama of it, and I thought it was underrated. I agree.
I think it was good, but it's not one that I've gone back to personally.
It's not fun.
If you get a chance to Google image the cover box for Just Like Heaven, 2004, you'll laugh out loud because Mark Ruffalo's face says it all. He's literally like, look, I didn't want to be in this.
Is that the one with Reese Witherspoon?
I don't want to watch it. Yeah, it is really funny. I don't know.
I've seen that movie,
but oh my god, the cover box is hilarious. His face says it all. His face is like, look, I'm trying to branch out there into the mainstream. So
it's actually written by Peter Tolan of like Larry Sanders Show and Rescue Me fame. Done a lot of good stuff. That's surprising.
I mean, one thing I like normally when it comes to celebrities, getting into activism and stuff, it sometimes can be a little bit heavy-handed for me personally, but Ruffalo's huge on Twitter when it comes to his advocacy for global environmentalism.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very inundating if you follow him. I'm actually thinking about maybe taking a little break, but he's done a lot of good things as a humanitarian. So I don't know how much you guys know about that.
Yeah, I follow him, and I am annoyed when people use their celebrity and power for good.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm annoyed. I'm just saying I could,
I'm just playing. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
he's,
there
what
is
I
an
mean.
annoying.
he's
But
definitely a good advocate.
possible 9/11 truther. I don't know
What?
how much you guys have looked into that.
No,
Well, to put a local spin on it, he tried to do, make awareness for Flint water crisis. So that was one
Yeah.
thing locally he was trying to
Okay.
be a positive force in the world for. But I know, Hollywood people who get involved in this stuff, sometimes it could come off as fake. And it's a very difficult, I think it's become a highly controversial topic now, unfortunately, because people seem to try to just use their force in the world for a good, as Travis said, but sometimes people are just telling people to do something and then they're sitting on their asses. But I don't think Mark Ruffalo is one of those guys. I really don't.
No, like I say, I do respect it. Not really sure about him trying to get NBC to stop hiring white conservative commentators, but gotta read into that a little bit more. It's just
Let's just stop. Let's just stop there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, if we want to talk about like his personal life and the stuff that he does, like, that's interesting too. But like, I mean, there's a lot of actors who I like their work way more than Mark Ruffalo, but as people, I despise far more than
There it
I would
is.
ever feel that about Mark Ruffalo. So I mean, at the end of the day, I do like his movies.
It's the classic case of the entertainment or the talent separated from the person themselves. What do you do? I mean, whether it's a writer or a photographer, anybody who's done bogus shit that you're like, I can't get on board with this, but I really like what they've given to the world. It's how do you separate that? I think that in itself is would be a fun show, in my opinion. But
And
we
let's
don't
put a pin in that. I think that's a good idea. But Ruffalo, of course, is like no Mel Gibson. You know, like Ruffalo. It seems like the complaint about Ruffalo is that he's too passionate about about his causes.
Yeah, why don't you chill out, dude? Jeez. He also was in All the King's Men, which was a failed attempt by Sean Penn to pretend to be Huey Long from Louisiana in the 30s.
Oh
That didn't
yeah,
work
that
out.
was a turd. That was
Yeah.
bad.
That was a
Songfest.
turd. I was very excited about that because I was back in college at that time and I was taking history classes. Like, oh man, maybe Sean Penn will give this, some legitimacy. And it was trash, total trash.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
But Mark Ruffalo's not the only thing or the only person in this world to have done trash. He's got a lot of interesting roles, as we've all stated. I think overall, Eric, Mark Ruffalo, legacy 30 years from now, positive or negative, or just blah, blah, blah?
I think he's established himself as a solid character actor. He's got 3 Oscar nominations under his belt. I like to see him in another nice meaty role and get the trophy because I think he's consistently been doing a lot of good work for the past 20 years. I'll continue to support this gentleman.
I think that he does strong work, and I think he'll be around, for a long, long time. I do think that he's better in ensemble pieces, or like not like not like huge ones, but like something with 4 or 5 other strong actors to help anchor him. I guess just because he can be a little not bland. That's a little harsh, but you know what I mean. But he's so straightforward. But yeah, but I think he's great. I think he's not going anywhere. I think he'll probably be acting. I think he's one of those guys that'll be around for a long time.
Beautifully stated, gentlemen. Mark Ruffalo, we do salute you. Whatever anyone's opinion is on you, you've done enough work in this world to have a legacy forevermore that will never be taken away from you. Unless, of course, you do something horrible and then we'll just erase you from history. But in the meantime,
fracking posts on Twitter. Come on, Jesus Christ.
Fracking? Fracking's still a thing? What? This is the Cinema 9 podcast. We want to know, did you enjoy Mark Ruffalo talk? Did you hate it? Or do you have an opinion on Mark Ruffalo? Is there a guy that you think is comparable to Mark Ruffalo? Send us an email, cinema9pod@protonmail.com. That's numerical 9, cinema9pod. And you could post a commentary, get a thread going on Twitter or Facebook. Please do. We welcome the debate, the commentary, the shared interest. We do appreciate it.
I do have to say, since we're talking about Columbo, like we do in every episode, if there's one guy that could take over from the legendary Peter Falk in a reboot, I think Mark Ruffalo would be a damn good Lieutenant Columbo, in my opinion. He's got the same kind of deal going on. He's got the aloof kind of goofiness going on, but he can be serious and fun. And he's done noir in the past with Shutter Island and films like that. So Ruffalo as Columbo, #.
There's probably a portmanteau in there somewhere between Ruffalo and Columbo, but I can't think of it. Ruffumbolo.
Tonight, all new Refumbolo.
Hashtag Ruffumbolo.
Hashtag Refumbolo. Let's get it out there right now.
In the cut.
It's time to move into the segment where we all focus in to decide, does it hold up? Dun, dun, dun. Tonight, it's 1990s Dick Tracy.
Yes.
Hello?
You're breaking and entering, you know.
Sorry.
Sit down. Aren't you gonna arrest me?
If I were gonna arrest you, I'd have done it by now.
Then what are you up to, honey?
I think Lips Manless is dead. And I want you to tell me who killed him. Or maybe you weren't on his side. Whose side are you on?
Side I'm always on. Mine.
No grief for Lips?
I'm wearing black underwear.
You know it's legal for me to take you down to the station and sweat it out of you under the
I
lights.
sweat a lot better in the dark. I know how you feel. You don't know if you want to hit me or kiss me. I get a lot of that.
Look, you're safe. Big boy's in jail. You're the one that can keep him there. Give me a call.
So, gentlemen, Dick Tracy, what is the initial response to having viewed this movie recently? Eric, I want to open with you because I know you're chomping at the bit. You're excited to talk about it. Let's hear it.
It's the 30th anniversary of Dick Tracy. In my opinion, an underrated gem. Grossly, severely misunderstood, underappreciated. It disappeared. You know, we all saw it in the theater, most of us, when we were like 10 years old. We saw the commercials, we remember the hype, and then we saw it, we were like, I don't even know if I should be watching this. The first like 5 minutes, like 6 people get murdered. You see Madonna's nipples. There's police corruption. There's grotesque monsters running around. You know, probably not for a 9-year-old, but I'm so glad I got a chance to watch it again. I love Dick Tracy, so I can't wait to jump into this.
Wow, man, that's a passionate plea. Travis, I know you weren't as gung-ho. What was your initial response to a new viewing?
Well, I wasn't as gung-ho because I have not seen this movie since I saw it in theaters when I was 9 or 10. You know, it's been a long time. And when I was a kid, I remember not really knowing what to make of it. So like I wasn't sure where to, you know, what I was going to feel. But I did make some notes. Let me read you some random things that came up on my notes here. Let's see. Disturbing. There's the word disturbing again. And there's the word disturbing again. And then my favorite line I've ever written, this movie is a scathing hot turd that gets stuck as it passes and just sits there uncomfortably.
Oh.
It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I had a really hard time not being angry with you both for making me watch it.
Oh my God.
Wow. Wow. Hell yeah. That is the kind of response we're looking for. I want to quickly just throw out some commentary. In 2000, Roger Ebert was still alive. He said, this is a movie in which every frame contains some kind of artificial effect. An entire world has been built here away from the daylight and the realism of ordinary city streets. And he gave it a 4 out of 4 at that time.
Wow.
God bless him.
Shocking. Another person named Desson Thompson from the Washington Post, he totally said it was trash. He says, Tracy is Tinseltown's annual celebration of everything that's wrong with itself. The hype, the agent-negotiated star system, the Hollywood fun assembly line method of copycat mediocrity, etc. So, mixed reviews. One more review. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone in 2001 said, for all its superficial pleasures, Dick Tracy ultimately flounders because it provides an audience with nothing to take home and dream about. Ooh. What? Painful response.
What do you think?
There.
What do you think, Mike?
Dick Tracy is a fun film that is kind of light on any type of substance at all. There's no substance, in my opinion, but it's highly entertaining, and it brings a magical world to the screen, which is totally over the top and absurd, but it's kind of how the comic was. It looked like the comic in a lot of the ways. If you ever saw the comic strip at all, I think it was a real testament to that. And in that sense, I appreciate it. Warren Beatty was way too old to play Dick Tracy. That's obvious. So you got to throw out a lot of things in this film. And for some reason, though, it gets under my skin because Al Pacino is just so over the top silly in this film. I love that. I love all the little bit characters. They just make me they engross me in the film. It's not about some message like The Dark Knight or anything like that. It's just about all these little characters bringing me into their world, and it's enough for me to say, hey, I can't wait to see what happens. I mean, you got Mandy Patinkin's playing 88 Keys, this balding doofus piano player bit part, and it's great. I like that part of it.
Yeah, I love 88 Keys.
I thought that him and Madonna's song was probably the best part of the movie.
Oh, that's another thing. I love the music. I wanted to talk about the music. I wanted to mention that I thought it was actually really well done, and Madonna recorded like a whole album of stuff. And to this day, I admit this freely because I don't have any guilty pleasures. I have this on a Spotify playlist. Her, I'm gonna love you like no one before.
Yeah,
like I have that on there, and I listen to it, and I think it's great. I also listen to More. I love More. It's a fun song.
Sooner or later you're gonna decide. Sooner or later there's nowhere to hide. Baby, it's time, so why waste it in chatter? Let's settle the matter. Baby, you're mine on a platter. I always get my man. I'm gonna love you like nothing you've known. I'm gonna love you when you all alone. Sooner is better than later, but lover, I'll hover, I'll plan. This time I'm not only getting, I'm holding my man.
Stephen Sondheim is a guy I've never been a fan of. In fact, I like musicals, but I hate every Stephen Sondheim musical, okay? Because I think his songs are super boring. I love his songs in this, especially the Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning Sooner or Later. So yeah, the music is great. The score by Danny Elfman, a little bit of a carbon copy of his Batman theme.
Yeah, it
But,
really is.
really
In fact, the
fun.
movie itself is a carbon copy of Batman. We could just go
Well,
ahead and say that.
Well, listen, this has been toiling around for years, okay? I think it was a bit of a coincidence that 1989's Batman came out a year before this, and they were trying to fast-track the production.
Coincidence.
But, yeah.
Well, Warren Beatty takes this didn't just happen. Warren Beatty takes forever to get something going. He's so
they
obsessive
spent
about
the
it.
entirety of the 80s trying to get this going. And then
Yeah.
when it was released, people were like, what the fuck? This isn't Batman. And they were pissed.
Yep.
Well, they marketed it like it was Batman, and that wasn't a great idea. Because they tried to make it like a Disney tentpole summer blockbuster thing, and it's like, hey, here's this fun summer romp, and it's just like weirdos murdering people and like a bunch of really sexual innuendo and just like a freak show.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. I'll go with you, Eric, first. I have a thought that this movie would actually be better if they went even darker with it and maybe made it PG-13, borderline R, because it would have fit the profile they were trying to go for. I think they got stuck between it trying to be darker and then like lighthearted, and it doesn't work in that sense. What do you think of that?
Listen, like I said before, I remember when sitting in Brighton Cinema when this came out, it was pre-screened with Roller Coaster Rabbit, a Roger Rabbit cartoon.
Yeah.
So we're all joking and eating our candy, and then it starts, and you've got pseudo-sexual sadomasochism innuendo. You've got child abuse with Charlie Corsmo's dad, like beating the shit out of him.
You got to give the kids some chicken.
You've got Al Pacino walking around groping women intensively. You got murder. There's no audience for this. Okay, like there's no demographic for this.
Yeah,
In fact, if there was one, it's probably maybe not as far as Travis is concerned, but probably like dudes in their late 30s that love movies and film noir and like homage and stuff like that, and comic books and stuff like that. It's not for kids. Okay, adults really didn't give a shit back in the day because there's a lot of lunacy going on. So yeah, one of my biggest issues with it is who's the demographic here? Like who do they make this for? It's so bizarre.
You call it a film noir, but like to me, it's like an unfunny parody of a film noir. It's like a film negative of a film noir. You know what I mean? Like this inside out version of it, because it's just, I don't know. It's I will say this. I mean, like there's a lot of like beautiful matte paintings and set design. Like that stuff was especially the quote unquote exterior shots, like of the orphanage and stuff. There's some really beautiful production design going on there, and there is some good moments. But I mean, I'll have more negative things to say, but I think that the biggest problem I had with it is that I got bored. I was like bored. I'm like, when's this fucking end? This thing's interminable.
Oh, Mike, your response.
Well, I mean, it's only an hour and 45 minutes, so that's
I
something,
know.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's short.
That's a bummer. But my point is, though, like, William Forsythe as Flat Top is great. I think he's fantastic. He does a great job in that role. And if this was a more honest and deeply darker, and a film had a guts to be not a Disney film, like masquerading as a satire or whatever the hell it was, I think that if Flat Top was a sadistic murdering killer like he really wants to be, he's like on the edge of it, and they're trying to show that that's who he wants to be, but they can't because it's PG. If it went that route, I would be really way more into it, like torturing Dick Tracy and shit. I could be totally down with that. That would be something I'd be totally engrossed in. Maybe it's not for me as a 10-year-old at the time, but as an adult, I would love that.
Like, speaking of like 10-year-olds, Flat Top does get mowed down by our protagonist with a machine gun in the middle of the street. Like, that's not a very Disney climax.
No, it's about 50 bullet holes at least, but there's no bullet holes. There's no blood. It's, the violence is so goofy in this film. That's something I want to discuss. So the violence, like where Dick Tracy beats up Charlie Korsmo's protector. You got to give the kids some chicken. They're arguing about chicken in that little barn shack, and he's beating them up, and the shack's going back and forth with each punch. It's so cartoony and silly, and it's supposed to be that way. But it is a very violent and inappropriate film for kids, and it makes you wonder things. It shows how things have changed so much, right? With film ratings and everything, because this would never be a PG movie today.
Well, the tone is a little bit all over the place. In my opinion, you don't need the kid character at all in the movie. If anything, it takes away from the character of Dick Tracy, because you only really follow him when he's dealing with the kid character. It takes away from the relationship he has with Glenn Headley's character, rest in peace. So you could toss that out and make it darker, and you probably could have a more interesting movie.
I gotta say, like, the Korsmo character, like, I hate like precocious kids in film. I hate like some director's idea of what he thinks a cute kid is instead of just casting a cute kid. I hated Korsmo's like little fucking bent little tie thing through the whole movie. I just like every moment he was on screen, I'm just like, get this little rat off the TV. I don't want to look at him.
Yeah, he was much better in Can't Hardly Wait. He was funny.
Oh, I love him in that.
Can't Hardly Wait, man.
And What About Bob, too?
Oh, What About Bob? Of course. That was the same year. That was a big year for Charlie Korsmo. He broke out.
I emailed Charlie Korsmo because he's now a law professor. Fucking guy didn't email me back. I wanted some true stories behind the scenes.
I'm sure he's like, that's all he wants is just like Dick Tracy emails from podcasts.
It's the 30th anniversary here, man.
Yeah, he could really give us some insight. I mean, he was like 10 years old when he did that film. I'm sure he has a lot of memories. I agree.
I'm sure he has a lot to do if he's a law professor. He's probably a pretty busy guy.
Charlie Korsmo, if you ever hear this, we would love to have you on the pod. Give us a shout.
I mean, I can see how someone could think the movie is a little bit boring. It relies heavily on homage and kind of cliched ideas of what the whole, you know, I don't want to keep saying film noir, but that sort of thing where you got to have the frame, you got to have your main character framed, and he's got to be in these dire circumstances at the very end. There are too many. There's 4 musical montages in it. 4.
Yeah.
Which take up probably like in total maybe about a fourth of the screen time.
This blows Rocky IV out of the water.
Yeah. They're beautiful and fun to watch thanks to cinematography by the great Vittorio Storaro, who did Apocalypse Now and The Conformist, which is the most of all time. But too many montages, relies very heavily on homage and cliched story beats.
I will tell you that this movie won 3 Academy Awards, and the only reason it won 3 Academy Awards, it was for best song, like Eric said, and costume design and makeup, best makeup. So a lot of it has to do with the physical appearance, which it does deserve a lot of credit. I don't know if it's Oscar worthy. I think the reason it won, obviously, is because Warren Beatty's involved, and he's like Oscar gold because he's been a part of the high society of Hollywood for decades at this point.
I think that might be part of my problem with the movie. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Travis. Yeah.
I think that might be part of my problem with the movie is that I realized as I'm watching, I'm like, holy shit, I don't think I like Warren Beatty. So I think that's going to have a lot to do with not really liking the movie since he directed and starred in it.
Oh,
I'm so glad you brought that up.
I just don't think he's a very good actor.
I was thinking that too. I was wondering about that too. I wanted to hear what you guys thought because he's very relaxed in the movie. He's a little bit bland. Really, all he does is react to other people around him. His superpower is like a strong right hook. And in the very, his biggest scene where he's in this horrible situation that he's got to get out of, he just has the kid help him. So he doesn't even really get out. He would have died. So
the furnace scene?
Yeah, the character a little bit bland, but is it the character or Warren Beatty?
I think it's Beatty. Well, both.
The question is, this is a fair question because if we're going to talk about Dick Tracy, you have to discuss Warren Beatty because he's the heart and soul to make the movie happen. He's behind the whole production. It doesn't happen without him, most likely. But I've often wondered and thought to myself, is Warren Beatty a good actor? Is he varied in his performances? I mean, he got a lot of clout when he did Bonnie and Clyde back in '67. That really busted out his career. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Reds, 1981's Reds.
No.
Very long film.
Looks so boring.
It's very long, but it's very well done. That was probably where he gave the most honest performance, and it's also really organized in giving a sense of what it was like to be this guy in and simply put, Reds is about a freelance writer who's covering the original Soviet Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, and he did a really good job with that. I can't remember the guy's name he was portraying, but my point being is that it was the only time where I thought, wow, Warren Beatty's not playing Warren Beatty. The rest of the time, Warren Beatty's just this tall, handsome guy who gives you some good smiles and some wisecracks, and everybody's in.
That's about it. I mean, I was thinking as we're having this discussion, it's been a while since I've seen it, so I have to see how I feel about it now. But the only Warren Beatty movie that I've ever really, really liked a lot is Bugsy. And then even still, he's just playing like a slick kind of good looking, it wasn't a stretch for him. I don't think he's got a lot of chops. I don't think that throwing any protagonist in a yellow hat and a yellow coat makes, I don't know, it's so jarring. The whole color scheme of the movie was just so jarring. So this is something I was wondering, because you guys have already kind of broached it. So if they rebooted this, that's what you imagine as a grittier take on things, no Dick Tracy without a yellow hat, without the yellow coat, because there's no way to have a gritty yellow coat.
Oh, you got to have the coat and the hat, but it could still be grittier because the rest of the world would impact it. If it had a consistent kind of linear focus on what it was trying to be, I think it could be done. But I see your point. Yellow is not an intimidating color at all.
I'll tell you what.
Bottom line, go ahead.
Oh, I have the plot. A fish out of water story. You take Dick Tracy out of the 1930s comic book and place him in today, and have him interact with people. There you go. Now you've got an okay movie.
That would be a great movie. That would be
Make it
such
for
a
kids.
contrast. Yeah, make it for young kids. The younger
Yeah.
the better.
I mean,
So, gentlemen,
you're right.
yeah.
Warren Beatty just stands there in every movie and like looks handsome. I've never seen Love Story. I've never seen Bugsy. I've never seen Bulworth. I've never seen that movie
Oh,
either.
shit.
Remember Bulworth?
Oh,
Shit movie.
Bulworth is so dumb.
I cannot believe that it had like a strong reaction. Like critics loved it. I'm like, what the
That
fuck
came
movie
out our-
did you people
yeah.
watch?
That came out our senior year of high school, and so unfortunately, I remember watching it. And it was pretty silly, and the whole name Bulworth, it was just weird. It was just very poorly done.
I mean, it was Warren Beatty rapping. That's really all you need to know.
Yeah, he was in Ishtar, which is one of the most universally panned films ever. So he's not somebody who has this like wonderful career if we start looking at it.
Send us an email. Why is Warren Beatty a star and considered a legend in Hollywood? What is with this guy? At cinema9@protonmail.com.
Cinema 9 Pod.
Shirley MacLaine and Annette Bening have probably helped him out for decades.
Yeah,
Shirley MacLaine is Warren
brother?
Beatty's sister. Yeah, they're brother and sister, straight up.
That's one of those fun
That's gotta be
facts I learn over and over again. Just keep forgetting, and then I learn it again. I'm like, oh.
That has to be it.
There's clearly been an attempt to separate the two so they could try to stand it out, but there's no way they didn't lean on each other back and forth for roles and opportunities. It's obvious. They're obviously a powerhouse sibling duo.
But Shirley MacLaine is a hell of an actor.
I love Shirley MacLaine.
No arguments here. As recently as Bernie, she was great in Bernie with Jack Black.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
You got all the charisma. I did want to mention the fact that I believe Dick Tracy to be the best video game adaptation of all time. When Dick Tracy came out for the Sega Genesis, I used to play this literally every single day when I rented it from Universal Sight and Sound in Brighton, Michigan, off Grand River. Have you guys tried it?
I have not played that.
Can't
I have
say
to
that I
check that
have.
out. I got the Sega Genesis emulator. I'll probably have the game because I have all the games. I'll check that out though, and I'll get back to you. It's
so good. I mean, it's the only game where you can. Did I remember being able to interact with the background and foreground, like with like your Tommy gun and like your pistol? It's really fun. Just like the movie, in my opinion. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll have to check that out because I love Genesis games like that. But if we're focusing on Dick Tracy, the film, I want to give Madonna credit for this because she really made me horny when I was a young kid, and she did a great job doing that. I think she deserves a lot of credit. She was incredibly hot and sexy in this film, and I'm not going to pull back from those statements at all. Madonna, you were way better in this movie than you were in Body of Evidence. I don't know where the charm went, where the sex appeal went, but you got fully naked in Body of Evidence, and you were much sexier in this PG film. How is that possible?
She got almost fully naked in Dick Tracy too. That's cool.
She
did. I'm like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, nip slip. 5 minutes in, PG movie.
No, it's true.
Why? Who made that choice?
Warren Beatty was dating her at the time, so he probably
exactly
in there.
I know.
There's no secret that they were totally boning, and he was like, 60 years old already, and so whatever. That was the only reason she's in the film. She would never be in a Disney film in that point, especially when she was known for. She really was known for, the movie, The Sex Book, and all that stuff was coming out around this time, and the tour with the movie about her documentary.
That was when that Truth or Dare documentary came up.
Exactly, Truth or Dare. Thank you. So
they started dating. Yeah.
So she would never be in this film without Warren Beatty. I think that's very clear.
Technically, this is a Disney film, but I think this is one of the very first releases under the Touchstone banner because Disney wanted to start making money off more adult-oriented themes. So this is a Touchstone picture.
Rob Reiner behind that? Is he part of Touchstone?
I think he's Castle Rock, but I think it's Jeffrey Katzenberg in Disney.
I think they bought Touchstone. That's what it was later. Never mind. Nobody cares about that. Later, they bought it. It doesn't matter. When Touchstone failed. Because we don't see Touchstone anymore, right?
No, they went. I think they either got bought out or went under. But I think Madonna's good in it. I even like her acting. That's the thing. Well, how can Warren Beatty get all these great performances from actors like Al Pacino and Dustin Hoffman, but not himself?
Right.
Did he get a great performance from Al Pacino? Is that?
Yes.
Are we sure about that?
Yes,
Are you 100%
absolutely.
sure about that?
He was
I'm very
nominated for
confident
Best
in that.
Supporting Actor. I love him as Big
He
Boy
was
Caprice.
nominated for Dick Tracy.
Yeah,
Yes.
Was it the same year?
Yes.
Was it the
Deservedly.
same year as Son of a Woman?
Couple
No, it was 2
years
years
earlier.
before. 2 years
Yeah, it
before.
was- yeah.
I think he's so good in it.
Yeah, he's great. I'm with you all the
think
way.
he is. I think I've never seen him ham it up more. I mean, it fits. It makes sense, but it's just like nauseating.
What about okay? Fine, Travis. Let's see if you agree on this. What about Dustin Hoffman as Mumbles? Did you find it funny?
Get me, Mumbles. Hello, Mumbles. Where's Lips Man? Mumbles. Where's Lips Manless? Care for some water? I'm thirsty. Where's Lips Manless? Where's Lips Manless? Okay, you heard him, Mrs. Green. That's his testimony. Okay, boys, get him out of here.
Is what?
So I remember as a kid, even like, as a 9 or 10-year-old, thinking to myself, Dustin Hoffman's the best thing in this movie. And I
Yes.
still feel that way.
Do it,
Dustin
Mike.
Hoffman was still the best thing in this movie.
Baby, baby. Yeah, it's great. It was funny then, and it's the only thing that stood the test of time, frankly, in this movie for everybody. So I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely preferred his performance to the utterly disgusting Paul Sorvino performance. Lips, whatever the fuck.
Lips Manless sucking on oils.
Oh God! I couldn't
Oh,
even
big boy,
watch it
not the
hardly.
bath, not the bath. The bath is very violent, by the way. The bath
It's
is
scary.
a cement
Once again,
cement poured into a box. It's enclosed, and you're dumped underwater.
Yeah, horrific way to die.
Yeah, it's horrible. But it's
Remember when
Disney
the,
and all the colors are bright. Who cares?
remember when the movie tie-in came out? I would read the book like when I was in 4th grade, and they had all the color pictures like in the middle. And I didn't know who Al Pacino was, so for 6 years, I thought Al Pacino looked like Big Boy Caprice. And I saw Heat, and I was like,
Oh,
what happened to his face?
Wow.
He's all hunched in. He's like this Charles Lawton, Richard III looking grotesque motherfucker, but I love his performance.
something. Wait, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. If you guys still want to keep talking about Pacino, there's probably a lot there. I didn't mean to switch subjects. Are we
Well, it was-
still Pacino chat?
We're still talking about Pacino and Hoffman and all these little
it
roles,
going.
the big roles that all were very entertaining, and they bring some life to the show. I mean, just real quickly, you had all of these guys in this film, a lot of great actors and actresses. Like I said, William
Kahn.
Forsythe, Jimmy Cahn's in it ever so briefly, and you got Paul Sorvino, as you said, Charles Durning's in this as the
Dick Van
captain,
Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke as the
Seymour
DA.
Cassell.
Seymour Cassell, exactly.
Catherine O'Hara in a very small blinker missing role.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Yes.
There she
Yeah,
is.
what
There
the-
she's gone.
That's Kathy Bates is in this as Mrs. Green. She's the woman. That's her. She's like the typing, and she gets flustered because she can't understand what Mumbles is saying.
Yep.
She's just sitting there. It's just such a bit part.
I didn't even realize that was her. That would have been before even Fried Green Tomatoes. So that was like.
Yeah, those are the
Before
same year as,
Misery.
as
And here's
Misery.
Misery.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I bet that's probably why she was in it. Because James Caan probably and her buddied up or
That's-
something. That
that's
would make
very
sense.
possible. That's a good point, Travis. It just goes on and on. There's just a bunch of little roles, little cameos, small bit parts by a host of different actors that we still know and knew then. So I just thought that brings some element of entertainment because you get to, if you don't like the movie, like Travis is not a big fan of it, you get to see, oh, hey, it's him. Oh, look, it's that person. Oh, wow. It distracts you for a few minutes. And maybe if you don't like the film, you forget that it's awful. I don't know. Just a thought.
One more thing about Dustin Hoffman is Mumbles. I just glanced at my notes. I have Mumbles equals Ben Mendelsohn because he looks like Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah, that's what it was. Reboot.
Wow.
Ben
Director
Mendelsohn as
critic. Interesting.
Mumble. What about it?
But yeah, that was.
go
I
ahead,
mean,
yeah.
that was probably the best thing about. I mean, I've said a few things are the best things now, but yeah, I did like the strong cast. it's fun to see all those people. And now that I'm older, I can appreciate it more. Like as a kid, I definitely did not realize that was fucking Inigo Montoya in there, Mandy Patinkin. And what a
Great
beautiful
voice.
singing voice the man
Beautiful
has.
singing voice.
I'd heard that he does, but I'd never actually, again, I'm not really a Broadway guy, so I'd never checked that out. But yeah, there's some really good actors in there. A lot of, it's good cast.
It's also got that guy who plays the like a bad guy or like principal who's yelling at everybody throughout the 80s and Back to the Future, Masters
James
of the
Tolkien.
Universe. Yeah, he's in that.
James Tolkien has numbers.
Is that him?
Yeah,
numbers.
Yeah, that's him. And
I'll just call him numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
who
Strickland.
cares? Yes, see, there's I want to say my favorite character that's not a big deal in the film is Pruneface. I think he was the one that really stood out to me. Pruneface
So you know the
is
story
frightening.
behind that. They were trying to
one's
get Ronald
Pruneface?
Reagan to play Pruneface, and he just kept turning them down and turning them down. I don't see how. It's fucking. We want you to play Pruneface.
Wow, really?
So they eventually just kind of tried to model the makeup over the great Ronald Reagan and his face, and you can kind of see it. You're thinking about Pruneface, but
Yep.
pretty silly.
But there was like two guys with pruny faces. I kind of struggled with to which one's prune face, because there's one guy with prune face and another guy with like a less pruny face.
He's like one of the leaders of the other gangs that decides to team up with Big Boy. And he's like, I want to rub him out. He's played by R.G. Armstrong, who
Armstrong,
known for Predator. He played General Phillips in Predator, and a million other bit roles. You would probably recognize his face, but him, Pruneface, and Littleface, who's the guy with the like the 4 foot wide head. There's just, I love that Littleface. It's funny because it's so big.
So a kid played Littleface. Like a 10-year-old
Really?
kid played Littleface because they couldn't figure out how to do the makeup. So they eventually got just a little boy there with a little small face and made him look first like an older person and then big giant head. So yeah, it gave kids nightmares for years. PG.
Wow. I did not know that. That's fascinating.
That is interesting. I did hit on something I think that kind of always has sat wrong with me about this movie and about Dick Tracy in general, is that Dick Tracy comes from the comic book the comic strip started in 1931, right? So this is still the tail end, well, not even the tail end. This is very much like the eugenic period. This is like the burgeoning of like the strongest that eugenics would ever get is the 1930s. And part of what eugenics comes from is this idea of like physiognomy, that like, and it's a Victorian idea that like beauty equals virtue, right? And so like it's not an accident that in the movie that like, and in the comic strip, I imagine it's the same way, that like only the villains are these grotesque, monstrous looking people. Every now and then there's like a banker or somebody with like a rubber nose slapped on them, but for the most part, like everybody that's deformed or ugly or otherwise like non-conforming, they are the bad guys, and all the beautiful people are the good guys. And I don't like that shit. I don't like it.
Yeah, I read that they wanted to, it's an entire city run by like mutants, but they wanted to have Dick Tracy have this signature, like broad kind of hook nose, but kind of a vanity thing for Warren Beatty. Wouldn't let him touch his fucking face. But I can't remember any of like the good characters being these grotesque mutants either.
There isn't.
Whether that's an intentional, Francis Galton thing or not, who knows? But that's interesting that you picked up on that.
Yeah, that's pretty typical of Hollywood, unfortunately. And I guess I need to take more stock of that. I kind of let it gloss over me consciously. But you're absolutely right. There's no arguing that point. And unfortunately, I have to live with that for the rest of my life.
You have the fortitude to carry on.
By the way, we're going to wrap this up here. If you are enjoying this conversation about Dick Tracy, if you love this movie, hit us up, cinema9pod at protonmail.com, or on social media, look for cinema9pod. If you think this movie is awful and you never want to see it again, but you'd love to make fun of it, then please connect with us. Gentlemen, Dick Tracy, does it hold up? I think we seem to have a rough idea of what everyone thinks, but we got to get you on the record. In the end, a lot of colors, wild characters, interesting performances, over-the-top performances. bottom line, Travis Roy, does Dick Tracy hold up? Did it ever hold up?
I think that here's a question I have for you guys. Did you either one of you grow up with a VHS of this in your house?
Yes.
Eric, no.
I just ran it all the time.
You just ran it all the time. Okay, so
Yeah.
but both of you like watched it repeatedly.
Yeah.
We
So you
had it
have
at
that
home.
you have that nostalgia thing going on.
Yeah.
I just don't. I watched it when it was new, and then I'm good on that. So like, does it hold up? Like, well, it never held up for me. So if it holds up for you guys, then awesome. As a personal classic, then that's great. You know, because sometimes movies like that, you know, we all have like these totemic like these personal movies that are in our own history that, and then sometimes you go back and watch and you're like, oh, that's not as good as I remember. So I'm glad that it holds up for you guys. Unsurprisingly, it doesn't hold up for me because I don't think I much cared for it in the first place. I will say I'm glad that there wasn't a bunch of sequels because that could have I feel like that would have just really gone downhill fast. But
It's interesting you mentioned that, though. As of 2016, Warren Beatty, at 79 years old, 2016 says he's working on the sequel to Don the Yellow Trench Coat once more.
Delusional.
This was 4 years ago, but I don't know if it ever happened. But
there's something wrong with him. Didn't he ruin the Oscars?
No, he's just old and senile.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe don't put him behind a camera or in front of one at this point, let alone to lead a film.
Exactly. I agree with that completely. Eric, what about you?
If you like PG-rated movies that have clearly visible breasts, sexual masochism, murder, and child abuse, this is the film for you.
A lot of ice cream, too.
When all is said and done, this is one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. The art direction, the cinematography have to be applauded. Warren Beatty's performance as Dick Tracy, a little bit boring, okay? The script turned in by the legendary Bo Goldman, who you know from Son of a Woman and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, relies too heavily on homage and montage. But overall, for me, there's a lot of nostalgia here. But I think this stands the test of time and should be viewed now. I'm extremely surprised Travis didn't like this, knowing that he hasn't seen it in 30 years. I thought he'd come back and be like, this is a hidden gem. Where's this been all my life? So
no, I've been thankfully not having to deal with that for my whole life.
I'm blown away that you didn't enjoy this. I mean, if this came out nowadays, I really wonder how people would think about it. Or if it came out in the 2000s when Sin City came out and did its thing, you know, with this visual flourish. That I don't know who the audience is for the movie. You know, I don't know when the right time to do it was. Half the time, I don't know what the fuck is going on except for a bunch of monsters running around shooting each
ringing
other.
endorsement.
But I enjoy it. I absolutely think it holds up.
Wow. Well, I've seen this movie many times. I had a VHS copy at home growing up, so there was many repeat viewings, so I know this film inside and out, and I think I have to separate my enjoyment of the film, my nostalgic pleasure connected to it, which is undeniable. Travis makes a good point. From the actual reality that it probably doesn't hold up. I think if I have to be honest and true to this podcast and to our loyal listeners,
all three of them,
I don't think it holds up. I do enjoy it, and personally, I will always enjoy the film. But if we're asking ourselves, does this hold up in 2020? It does not hold up in 2020. There's a variety of reasons it doesn't. It's cartoony violence is fine because that's what it is, but it would never fly today. It wouldn't hold up now. The sexual innuendo is fun. I really enjoy that part, but it wouldn't hold up today. I gotta believe the society that we live in now, this movie would not fly as it is now. And unfortunately, that means this movie does not hold up for the whole host of reasons we've covered in this podcast. I don't need to cover again. So sorry. I love it. I will always watch it personally, but I have a job to do here, damn it, and I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah, I don't know that people today would have the wherewithal to sit there and watch Al Pacino slap Madonna across the face for like 2 hours.
Yes, thank you very much. Exactly. That actually reminds me of in Scott Pilgrim when spoiler alert, Knives. She gets punched in the face by Jason Schwartzman, or no, by Brendan Routh. That's not cool. That did happen in a movie 10 years ago. I just want to mention that. So. And it's a well-received film usually. So maybe you would. You never know. I know it's not cool, but movies are movies, and depending on the context of a character, you have to believe that they would do it or not, as opposed to whether it's appropriate or not. That's a whole nother story. So,
We're gonna take a punch. Brandon Routh is nothing to shake a stick at.
okay, so that's Dick Tracy. I hope you enjoyed that. We love bringing Dick Tracy to you, and now Travis, you never have to watch it again.
Yay!
That's wonderful. Next week's film for our Does It Hold Up? I don't think we decided on it, so I think we're just doing Wonder Boys. Is that correct?
I'm great with that.
Yep, it's happening. It's just been announced. Wonder Boys will be
Switch gears.
Wonder Boys will be the subject of next week's show. Does It Hold Up? 2000 it came out, so it's a little more recent, and we'll keep getting more recent. We promise you, we'll get some more recent films coming up. But in the meantime, I think we have an email. Eric, do we have an email today?
Wonderful gentleman named Brian emailed the show with the following question. Where do movies go from here during and after the pandemic? And if there isn't an end to the pandemic, what is the normal film model of theatrical releases by the big studios morph into?
Wow.
If there isn't
Thank you
an
for the
end.
email, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. We always appreciate your emails. cinema9pod@protonmail.com. Travis, do you have any opening thoughts?
Well, I saw someone, I think it was Kevin Smith, I want to say, was making the suggestion that, like, hey, you know, these movies that like Black Widow and stuff, like, if you can't release them in theaters, you want to make sure you make your money back. Release them for home viewing. Just charge like $100 for it, and that's a good model. I'm like, fuck you, Kevin Smith. That is not a good model. I'm not sitting there and paying $100 to watch Black Widow. So I think that like some of the ideas, like so some of these movies, like obviously like they have started putting on, made available for streaming. You can buy them early for $20, that kind of stuff. And I think that will make sense for some movies. I watched, a couple movies like that, and it's been fine. But some of these bigger movies, like it's just not going to work. Like the Marvel movies, Mulan, big blockbusters that are meant to reap the profits for these studios, like they're just not going to work. So like I don't know that how. Yeah, I don't have an answer. I think that there will probably be a lot more streaming in the future, unsurprisingly, and I think that these big tentpole movies will probably continue to be in theaters, but they might be some like the only ones that are in theaters. And going to the movies might become more and more like going to a concert or something like that, where it's just actually a pretty rare thing.
Yeah, that's a real bummer for movie theaters. I mean, movie theaters have been trying to get their piece of the pie and hanging on for dear life for the last couple decades now. We all know they make their money on their outrageous concession prices, because that's really the only way they can make like a healthy profit, as opposed to maybe a minimal profit. And I've always felt that this model wouldn't last. And when a powerful, overwhelming situation like COVID-19 comes and sweeps the world like this, there's going to be sacrifices. And I think that the movie industry may change for good. This will force people to look at things and how they release now in a whole new way. And the movie theaters may not last forever. It truly may not. I mean, vaudeville didn't last forever. There's certain things that die. And I just wonder that this could be the tipping point that slowly leads to just people wanting to watch and buy movies at home. And Hollywood executives are just going to, and especially the distributors, and especially distributors, actually, they're going to have to accept this. This is the one they get hurt the most, because they'd have nothing to do. There's nothing they can really do now. I don't know how they get their piece of the pie.
I hate going to the dentist, but I want my teeth to be healthy, so I have to go there. It's kind of the same thing with movies. Like, I fucking hate going to movie theaters because the people can drive me incessantly nuts, and it gives me so much anxiety to be in there. But I also want to see these new movies when they come out. And the only way to do it really is to get into the movie theater. Yes, I like the loud sound of the speakers and the big screen, but the whole theater experience for me is intensely nerve-wracking. So would I pay $19.99 to see like the upcoming Batman movie in my home? Absolutely. Okay. Will I miss going to the theater, see it on a big screen? Yeah. But if this is the way things are trending, I kind of support it. Okay. And a lot of these smaller movies that are going straight to VOD, I would definitely pay to see, $20 to see a smaller movie on the home screen, as opposed to having to go through the whole experience at the movie theater when I don't really care about the big screen or the sound. I just really want to see the smaller release, but I don't like the theater experience that much. Okay. So yeah, all good things must have. So we got Marty Scorsese calling Marvel films nothing but theme park rides, and for the most part, he gets a lot of shit, but he's right. It's its own experience. So
I love theme parks.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I don't think any of us miss like Blockbuster and going to rent movies. That whole industry just died and we moved on from it. So I'm not saying that's what movie theaters are, but it's just an example of, hey, this is the only way I knew growing up and it died completely and now it's a new way.
I do like watching movies on a huge screen in the dark. I do like that. Like, I'm not going to do that at home. I'm probably going to break out my phone and distract myself. I won't do that in the theater.
Yep.
yeah, that's true.
Too. There is something
focused.
about being, I understand the anxiety that you described there, Eric, but there is something about the connection of watching a film with a bunch of other people you don't even know and you're all experiencing it together. It is a unique experience. I will give it that.
Yeah, when that was, I don't know if you guys saw this trending on Twitter recently. It was just an audience reaction to Cap catching Mjolnir in Endgame, and like the audience's reaction to it. And I watched that clip, and I did not expect to get like emotional. I got really emotional watching it just because I was like, that's just something that I'd taken for granted. Going to see a big movie and having that a visceral emotional reaction with people. It's cathartic.
Marvel's got a live one. Hook, line, and sinker, baby. Woo!
I love my Marvel movies.
No, I understand what you mean. I saw that too. And I thought, that's the kind of, when Dark Knight came out and I got to watch that in the theater with a bunch of the people, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And everybody felt the same way, I feel like. And I can understand there's certain movies you go and you have a special experience that probably cannot be replicated, but I think I'll get over it. I think I'm with you, Eric.
The matter is the model, it's worth it for these filmmakers, okay? Because when they put Trolls World Tour out on VOD, it made like $50 million in like 3 days, and the projections were super, super low for it to go into the theaters. So they're going to take advantage of that, and from what I'm hearing, they're going to push probably Wonder Woman on a VOD. Probably not some of the bigger Disney movies like Mulan and Black Widow, but some movies you wouldn't expect to see on VOD are going to go there because they know they're going to get that $20 and then just have you buy a little bit later. So
yeah, let's take advantage of people while they're broke, man. Let's get the rest of their money before it's all gone.
Right. And we, none of us really have these gigantic families, so paying $20 to see a movie as opposed to like $100 for the whole theater experience for like 5 people is absolutely worth it, in my opinion.
Right. That's part of the difference right there. Like, it's one thing even if it was $100, if I was paying for, a family of 5, then maybe I wouldn't feel so differently about it. But like, I'm just me.
I'm just me too, guys. Thanks. Not me too. I'm just me, comma. Never mind. All right. So thanks, Kat. That was a great email. Thank you, Brian. And man, we get some good emails the last couple of weeks. Very thought-provoking. Taking it to the next level. Thank you very much. Appreciate that greatly.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Now let's close the show. As we always do, it's quarantine picks time. What do we got to offer? What do you want to recommend to our fellow listeners, people out there who love film, television, entertainment of all ages, creeds, nationalities, genres? This doesn't make any sense. Eric, do you have something you'd like to recommend to the public this week?
Aside from the 1970s disaster films produced by the great Irwin Winkler, I started watching Elf once again because it's on Tubi.
Yes.
It's laugh out loud funny. So I remember watching this as a kid, and I was like, all right, does this hold up? Like, we got this talking alien and like the family. They had great writers on that show because I was laughing out loud in bed watching it. And, we're talking about Elf here. 1986 to 1990 run, 4 seasons. It's funny. So I recommend revisiting Elf.
Hey, Willie, where's the cat?
Elf, stay out of the kitchen. Someone's coming over, Elf. Ha!
Michigan's own right there. Well
Oh,
done.
there you go. What do you think, Mike?
I love Elf. I think Elf's a great show. I'd watch it in a heartbeat, and I didn't know it was available on this Tubi, whatever the hell this is.
Tubi.
I can't keep track of all these venues for watching things. It's insane. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, there's Tubi, which is really good, and then there's like
Pluto.
Pluto or something that has like
Oh.
6,000 movies. They're all bad.
Voodoo, VUDU.
Yeah,
That one's a good one. But Pluto's great. Pluto's pretty good.
Hearing about Pluto.
See, it just never ends. But I do think Elf's a great show. I'm glad you're watching it. I support you completely. What about you, Travis? Do you have something to recommend this week?
My suggestions. Yeah, so I watched 2012's The Hunt with Mads Mikkelsen, which I'd seen when it was new.
Oh my
And
God,
man,
so good.
that really holds up. Just
Yes.
one of the best performances from. Just amazing. And then probably the movie that I watched that left the biggest impact on me. I didn't know anything about it going in, and I'm not going to say anything about it. I recommend anybody else does the same. I just heard that the movie Portrait of a Lady on Fire was a good movie, so I just watched it, and it was fucking incredible. It was really, really good. And I watched the new Invisible Man. That was really, really fun. Like felt like a nonstop climax, kind of. I'd say those were probably the highlights of my viewing of the last week. Although there's been some good ones.
May I ask you how you were able to watch Invisible Man, be it a torrent, or did you take the VOD route and pluck down the $20?
The VOD route.
So would you have gone to see it in theaters?
Probably not. I thought about it. I was thinking about seeing it in theaters when this all happened. So I was on the fence about it.
There you go. And Portrait of a Lady on Fire, I keep hearing great things about. Is that a French film?
I'm not telling.
Okay.
Wow.
Go in blind. Just go in.
All
Just
right.
trust
Okay.
me. Just watch it.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's got an 8.2 on IMDb. That's a very high rating.
It's awesome.
Okay. I would have to say, I'd like to recommend a documentary. I've been on the documentary roll, the documentary tip, as people know,
Okay.
and I watched 2014 Oscar winner for Best Documentary Feature. It's called 20 Feet from Stardom.
Oh.
It's about backup singers, the life of a backup singer. Where do they come from? Who are they? They're 20 feet from the main front leader of the band, like Sting and the Rolling Stones, all these other big, huge bands you're aware of. There's all these backup singers. What did they want to be headliners? Did they want to be lead singers? Some of them were. And one of them, that's the only thing I want to give away about this. One of them was a very well-known singer, and she was basically taken advantage of by Phil Spector, she wasn't the first person, not in a violent way, but she was basically, her career was destroyed and she was locked in a box by Phil Spector. She sang the songs, but different names of other people were put on the title when they went out to the public. So you're hearing this woman's voice, but it's someone else's name you're aware of. It's really crazy stuff. And that's just one example of a bunch of these people you've never heard of who are really talented, and they're about like harmony and connection. And some of them don't want to be headliners. They're really happy being a part of a musical ensemble. So I found it to be surprisingly entertaining and thoughtful and a bit emotional. It was very good. And I would like to recommend that one. 20 Feet from Stardom.
I love the filmmaker, Morgan Neville. He's made some awesome documentaries. Won't You Be My Neighbor, the
Yep.
Fred Rogers documentary, and the Love Me When I'm Dead, the Orson Welles Netflix documentary about the other side of the wind. So great filmmaker.
Oh, that's one of my favorite documentaries.
I love it.
Well, there you go. It's got,
Oh,
got
Mike,
a strong.
Sorry, there was one other movie I wanted to mention to you. I watched 2019's recent offering from Diane Keaton, Palms. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Diane Keaton crying
No, you
and
love her.
typing and laughing.
She cried. She cried in this movie, and I thought of you, and it was a well done crying scene.
Jeez.
Diane Keaton.
Moms.
It'll never be better than Something's Gotta Give, 2003. Jack Nicholson, Diane Keaton. Really good movie. We make fun of it all the time because she does the crying typing thing in that movie. She sounds like Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin doing the ghost in Beetlejuice, actually. Now I just realized that. Ooh, we're ghosts.
I used to love Diane Keaton in the 70s in Woody Allen films and The Godfather. I don't know. I think it was like Baby Boom when like all of a sudden Diane Keaton just turned into just that, this cackling hyena, and I'd never understood her since. I used to
still like her work very much.
Really?
Yeah. That's why
she
I
was really good in the Three Wives Club, guys.
I didn't like that movie. That's not a good movie.
No.
By the way,
Diane Keaton.
So Diane Keaton's latest. Check it out. Palms. By the way, 20 Feet from Stardom is available on Netflix, so that's why I recommend it. You can watch it on Netflix at any time.
Great doc.
Well, that is going to do it for another episode of the Cinema 9 podcast. It's been a pleasure. Don't forget, next week, if you want to join in with the fun and listen along, we're doing Wonder Boys. So find it now. I don't know if it's available on a certain streaming service or not, but if you can find it,
you won't regret it.
Yeah, give a little tribute. Pay tribute to a wonderful film, or maybe not, but we'll find out next week. Gentlemen, as we close, Eric, do you have any final thoughts here? Do you want to give us some advice for the future?
Do your thing at home. Be responsible. Listen to the news. Listen what the experts tell you. But also take the time out to enjoy the output of creativity that your friends are putting out. A lot of people that I know are starting to do a lot of hobbies that they wouldn't normally do. But thanks to this unprecedented time, they're able to put out some really interesting stuff. Support them and let them know, either online or over the phone, that you see what they're doing. And it's a great time for creativity. So be safe, stay creative, and thank you for watching the show. Send us an email.
Beautiful. Thank you. Travis?
There's a scene towards the end of Dick Tracy when Al Pacino is like, he's got a cigar and he's holding it and he starts filleting it. Never ever watch this scene in this movie. Just don't watch it. He's like licking the end of it. And he's kind of like just never watch that scene and have a great life. That's my advice.
That is beautiful advice. Thank you so much for trying to help us be better people and avoid painful, triggering memories such as those. Thank you. This is Cinema 9 Podcast. Thanks a lot. Cinema 9 Pod at protonmail.com. Cinema 9 Pod, the numerical 9 on Facebook and Twitter, and so on and so on and so on. Please contact us. We want to talk about Wonder Boys next week, and we're going to give you more picks. And who knows what actor we'll dissect next week? Who knows what'll happen? So stay tuned for a very, very special episode of Cinema 9 Podcast next week.
Big boy did it. 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 So dumb.